The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
We're all familiar with the three whats: what it is, what it can do for me, and what does it cost. Tyler Rickenaugh, Country Financial, can help you find the answers with insurance coverage to help protect what's most important to you, all at a price you can afford. So while you're juggling work and kids while trying to keep an eye on your financial future, Tyler Rickenaugh, Country Financial, will make sure they are the first ones there when you need them most.
The kids are back to school, and your schedule is busier than ever. From daycare pickup, doctor's appointments, sports, and college tuition, a parent's signature is a powerful thing. Have you ever stopped to think, what would happen if you weren't able to provide one? With thoughtful estate planning, you can make sure that your child's health and education needs are met in the event of your absence due to a temporary incapacity or even death. The estate planning team at Hurley Burrish is here to help.
Fostering deeper relationships, influencing behavior change, developing resilience. You're about to start winning. Here is your host, Christine Bright.
Welcome to Parenting Game. I am so glad you are here. My guest is Cam Hall, who has been an advocate for dads for several years and is founder of Dads Making a Difference. Cam, thank you so much for being my guest. I appreciate it.
Of course. Good morning. It's great to see you.
Yeah, you as well. So before we dig in, share with us a little bit about your family. I know you have two kiddos.
I do. Yeah, two beautiful kids, Maya and Braylon, 10 years old and 8 years old. And then my beautiful wife, Kim. And we've been married since 2011.
And where are you residing these days?
Well, some people might realize that I'm from Canada just by the way I'm speaking right now. So I live in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, which I'd like to describe to my American friends as about an hour north of the Montana border.
Oh, very nice. Well, we, are getting into the little bit of spring weather now here in Wisconsin, which is nice, but unfortunately, in Wisconsin, you just, it's great, and then, we can have 10 feet of snow. So, in these March months, what kind of weather do you guys have there in Canada?
Yeah, we're coming out of the deep freeze right now, but you never rule snow out really until the first weekend of June.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's been plenty of, I remember several Easter egg hunts where it was in the snow.
Yeah, but those are the best, aren't they?
They
you
are.
Get those bright colored eggs. They stand out in the white background.
Yeah, they do. It does make it a little bit more fun, but it makes it a bummer, when you got your cute Easter outfit, and Easter outfits are never very warm. So
my Easter outfit is typically snow pants and a ski coat. We do ours outside.
Yeah, just, girl problems, right? Oh, shoot. So, Cam, I've had the privilege of being on your podcast. As you know, I'm very much like being a female voice advocating for dads. So I so appreciated when you allowed me to come on to your show and speak to the dads that listen to you. One question I really love talking to parents about, especially now, you've had two, they're a little bit further along, is what has changed in your parenting from when they were littles to now? Maybe some views that you started out with that you realized you had to let go as they've grown.
I'm right at that stage of letting go right now. My kids are 8 and 10. I still cuddle them and put them to bed and sing a song in the morning. And my daughter's starting to give me the eyes like, Dad, stop. What's changed for me mostly has been this idea of having to be there all the time. My kids are starting to get into activities and they don't need me there. I want to be there. I want to be at everything, but I don't need to be there for every practice, every rehearsal. Mm-hmm. But I love seeing the games. But when they were little, I wanted to be there all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when they start pushing and wanting, their own identity, their own time, their own freedom. I know for every parent that, is a difficult transition. I'm in the stage now, I have an adult son. He's 28, got a great career, out on his own. Now I'm the mom of, hey, the other day I said, I need some proof of life. Like, are you still out there? And he texted me back and he's like, yeah, I'm doing good. And he got a cat. And so now I'm a kitty grandma. I'm not a pet person. I love other people's pets. I'll babysit your pets. Don't really want any of my own. But this kitty that he has gotten, I am freaking obsessed with. And literally will be calling.
Careful.
Like, I haven't seen Sorsha in 4 weeks. When can I come over?
Be careful. One might end up on your doorstep.
I know. Fortunately, with my lease, I'm not allowed to have pets, so I got a nice safeguard there.
It gives you an out.
Okay, well, let's dig in. As I said, I have a heart for, dads, single dads. I honestly own it. Resources for women are so much more accessible, so much more out there. Share what, you had Fight the Dad Bod, and now, you've brought that into Dads Making a Difference. So let's start with what got you going and starting Fight the Dad Bod and advocating for dads' health?
It came out of a conversation with my friends. I was a new dad at the time. I had a 1-year-old, and I was really struggling with my own health. I was really struggling balancing the demands of being a husband and a father and a professional, and then balancing my health picture with that. Mm-hmm. And we were sitting around after a basketball game, playing old man basketball. So it's ironic, Fight the Dad Bod comes out of a story that happened in a pub. So we were sitting there, we're having a conversation, and my friend looked at me and he just said, Cam, just give in, give in to the dad bod. And I said, well, something the dad bod. And then it kind of stuck with me. And I walked out and I said, well, I don't want to be offensive, but what about Fight the Dad? Right? Fight the Dad Bod, it rolls. And so I started an Instagram account to share our adventures as a family, what I was doing as a dad. And people started to latch on. And then it turned into a thing where people started to reach out. Guys would ask, hey, Cam, how do you eat? How are you working out? How are you balancing this with your family? And it created an opportunity to speak into the lives of other men in a coaching program that just kind of took off.
Excellent. And then now you've taken this step and you've founded Dads Making a Difference. So what brought about the desire to start this community?
Well, through Fight the Dad Bod, I had an opportunity to talk one-on-one with men all the time. And we're getting into these deep conversations about what's happening in their health, in their families, in their work. And it started to realize that other things were bubbling to the top. Guys would come in for fitness and nutrition, but they were struggling with work or the relationship as a dad or a husband. And so I was like, guys need more. Guys are struggling. Guys are operating in silos right now. Mm-hmm. And so that's where the idea for Dads Making a Difference came.
Awesome. I love it. I feel, more than ever, dads are allowing themselves to become more vulnerable, and reach out for help and support. And it's so needed. And as we raise this next generation of young men, for them, to see their dads being vulnerable and getting support, is this going to have this amazing trickle-down effect. So I do have some questions for you. So you've been in this dad space, you've been an educator, so you've been around families and seeing dads interacting with their families. I know as a parent and family coach, I have developed some pet peeves. And I'll admit, these pet peeves that I have now that I see other parents do were things that I did while I was raising my son. But now, I really understand how they can affect our children. They're huge pet peeves. So I'm going to ask you,
Okay.
as you see fathers, interacting with their children, and you've grown yourself and learned, how to better interact with your kids, do you have any of those pet peeves where you're like, oh, dude, like, just don't?
I do. I think there's two real pet peeves I have, but I'll dive into one. And it ties into my idea that I always needed to be there. Okay, so I see parents, fathers who will come in to advocate for their child, to be there to support. But instead of supporting, they're just doing it for them. They won't let the kid grow. They won't let them go through struggles, the tough conversations that they need as young adults to develop into the people that dad actually wants them to be. So
Absolutely.
I have a pet peeve. We call it the snowplow parent. Just pushes all the problems out of the way
Absolutely.
instead of just diving in and saying, I'm here to support my son or daughter. Here's where we're at. Let's have a conversation.
I heard this great analogy. It was on the Today Show. I'm pretty sure it was on the Today Show. For a while, they had the man panel, which I absolutely loved. And they were talking about this situation, and they had a parent coach on there. And she talked about the helicopter parent, the snowplow parent, and then I think it was the tow truck parent. And where we need to be tow truck parents, let them struggle, but then when they truly need our help, we come in as that tow truck. And I thought that was such a great analogy. But, absolutely, we know out of struggle is where hope comes from, and it's so important to let our kids do that. But also, we all know how hard it is, to stand by and see your kids struggle. So speaking of that, where has your growth been as a dad? Like where, and maybe there's some areas that you're still struggling in or that had been a struggle in a past. Share those with us, and then also share the support that you sought out, or whether it was books or fellow dads, to help you work through those struggles you were having in your parenting.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest struggles I've had, and I continue to have now, is this idea of presence and being there, but actually being present in the moment, engaged in what's happening. Because for a long time, I was doing my job, my full-time job as a vice principal. Then I was running Fight the Dad Bod, Dad's Making a Difference, and doing some subcontracted coaching. And I just was go, go, go. So the times I had with my kids were starting to get more limited. And yet in the back of my head, I was telling myself that my kids were the driving why, but I wasn't being present when I was with them. And so I started to realize that I needed to transform my mindset of what it meant to be a dad who was in the moment, present, available, and yet also a professional that was taking care of what I needed to do and to fulfill my calling. And so what I did, I sought out the guidance of others, mentorship, honest conversations. I like to call them unfiltered conversations. And so I joined a mastermind group of other men. I'm an avid reader. I do lots of reading on leadership because I'm passionate about that and fatherhood and what it means to be a dad. But I just knew it was important to get out of my silo and interact with other men.
And share with us as well, we know your relationship with your wife goes hand in hand with, the relationship that you have with your kids. So, you shared with us that busyness and being present and wanting to be there with your kids. Can you also share with us the growth areas that you had in your relationship, your marriage relationship?
Well, I think back to when Maya was born and how that change came in my relationship. We had been together for 8 years before we got married. We were married for just over a year when Maya was born. And then everything changed because it's not just about you anymore. And so being able to support Kim through that. And then when my son was born 2 years later, just for myself to step into a new role where I needed to support Kim in different ways. And then she also realized that she needed to support me in different ways. I think we've been going through that together. And Chrissy, you know, everybody goes through ups and downs. We're trying to figure each other out. We're human beings. But what we've really realized over the last couple of years is being intentional with the time that we spend together. You know, the date nights, the walking the dog every night together, telling the kids to stay at home, and just being there for each other and making our relationship the most important.
Absolutely. And, you know, intentionality is really the game changer, right? You can be in space and not be intentional. You know, it's very easy to be in space and you're all just, you know, and I'm not knocking family movie night, totally a fan. But again, you know, there isn't this intentionality to get to know each other, to get to know your kids, to have these conversations. And that is what I have really liked about what you know, how you coach dads, the product that you put out there is the intentionality behind, you know, what you're doing. And so I really, really appreciate that, because we can be haphazard. You know, I was at the game.
We can be.
You know, I sat at the dinner table while I was texting on my phone. And so I appreciate, you know, your content that you put out with that, and just the resources. And I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'm not a dad, but I advocate for dads, so I love listening to your stuff and some of the other people that you're connected with. And
Yeah, well,
I need to
get
get your permission so I can start pumping it out on my stuff. I keep forgetting to do that. I'm like, that was so good. I gotta ask Cam if I can share that.
No, I appreciate that. Can I talk to intentionality for a moment?
Yeah, please.
Because with intentionality, sometimes it sounds like we have it all figured out and we just have to do what we need to do. But with Dad's Making a Difference, one of the things that we really value is about growth. And that growth process is, you know, knowing your why, aiming for growth, and taking ownership. And that ownership piece comes with that intentionality. But you can't have intentionality with the other two.
Absolutely. And I want to dig in a little bit more too and have you share, you know, what dads can expect when they join your community. But you did bring up an important point, and I want to discuss it a little bit. I believe I talked about it on your podcast. When you say, you know, it's like a process, right? And you're figuring out what that intentionality looks like. Can you speak into you're gonna mess up, and this idea that if you apologize to your kids, and sometimes even to our spouse, that authority, now you've just undermined yourself, you've just undermined your authority. It's a passionate thing that I talk about, but I would really like you to speak to dads about that.
Just being, to be apologetic for messing up?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody's going to mess up. You know, we don't have it all figured out. You know, I like the word fail, you know, first attempt in learning. So you're meant to fail. That's how we grow. And it's part of the process. I don't think there's any guilt around failing, but I think it's also important to acknowledge when you fail. And when you step out of line, or maybe you do something that's in line with your character, I would say an apology is granted.
Yeah. And, you know, what are your thoughts on that? Because that is a battle, you know, with some of the dads that I coach, is this idea that if I apologize to the kids, I've just undermined my authority.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think it shows that you're human, that you're learning. And what you're doing is you're modeling for your kids this process that you're going through that you would want them to go through. So I see parents yell at kids, "Why are you doing that? Knock that off," without actually coaching their kids through how they want them to react or behave. You can't expect them to just know it.
Yeah.
Just like we expect all the dads to just know it.
Thank you for doing that. I know that you've probably helped a lot of dads to be like, okay, you know, I'm not going to, you know, my kids are never going to listen to me again or not do anything I say, because I've now apologized, and that's not the case. If anything, it just bolsters who you are.
Strengthens your
in his
relationship.
view. Yeah, absolutely. So now let's dig into dads making a difference. Tell us what dads can expect when they initially go to your site, what supports you offer. Just walk us through.
So the DMD, or Dads Making a Difference, is all about growth. I say it's inspired men inspiring men. Mm-hmm. So men who come together as givers to speak into the lives of others, and through that act, them themselves will get value from it. And so we come together as a brotherhood of men who want to speak into the growth of each other. So challenging men to grow spiritually, emotionally, relationally, financially, physically, intellectually. And so we get together and we hold each other accountable. We have unfiltered conversations, and we get together to really hold each other up, hold each other accountable, and push each other forward.
Excellent. And tell me a little bit about, we both are people of faith, and I know sometimes that can scare people off. What about dads who may not be men of faith? Is this still a welcoming community for them?
Absolutely. It's not, there's a lot of Christian men in the mastermind, but it's not a Christian mastermind. When I talk about spirituality, people come with their different ideas of what spirituality is. But what it means is being in tune with that there's a purpose greater than yourself, that you have faith in, that's pushing you to come towards a calling, and we want to help you get towards that calling.
So share with us too a little bit, there's so much changing in our culture. I personally feel views and what fatherhood looks like, family looks like, parenting looks like, is changing at such a fast pace. I feel parents are really at a loss of what they should be doing. But there's also been and I'm leaning more to there's some negative things that are going on in the parenting space, but there's also been a lot of great changes in awareness. So in dad space, over, let's say, the past 10 years, can you share with us those positive changes that you have seen in the area of dad world?
One of the biggest positive changes I've seen is men being intentional about reaching out for help when they need it. So whether it's help with their health, whether it's help with their finances, their relationships, parenting their kids, or just direction on what they need to do next in their profession or in their business, they're seeking help. They're not operating by themselves. Now, there's lots of guys out there who are by themselves at the moment, and maybe they're online, social media, seeking out information. But that act of seeking out information has been growing over at least the last 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have to agree with that. And I just love that dads are finding these communities and being able to find their voice. One other thing that I noticed on Dads Making a Difference, you're bringing the professional and personal worlds together. You do both. What was your reason behind that?
The reason behind that was because I think my own experience, identifying what I struggled with, not having a clear differentiation between work is work, family is family, and then they start to intertwine and not knowing how they intertwine in an effective way. I think it's important for men to get into conversations and have a plan, an action plan in place so they can create boundaries in their life, but also understand that it's okay to be fully present in your work and also be fully present in your family.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you offer both, because they are intertwined. One last question before we wrap up. And I've spoken about this on the different podcasts, is in sitcoms and stuff today, you see dad characters in this thank God mom is here, because if it was just dad, like this family wouldn't make it. You know, we do a lot like with dad jokes and things like that, which I feel is just a cultural norm that, you know, it can be very hurtful. Yeah, it's funny, but can be very hurtful. How do you guide dads who may be buying into some of those norms of, you know, well, I really can't be that type of person. You know, their mom is going to take that on. I just have this role of provider. You know, that's it. Speak to maybe some of the men who are watching this and maybe buying into some of those negative cultural norms.
Well, first of all, you don't have to emulate what you've experienced or what you're seeing in media. You can be who you feel truly inside, who you are meant to be. And so if you're a dad who's right now struggling, thinking, I'm not able to fill in the blank, or I have to rely on my wife to nurture the kids, I'm going to tell you that can be further from the truth. Your kids need you to nurture them. They need you to love on them, kiss them, and hug them. You know, they need you to help with chores around the house. These are the things that as a father, you're going to be an example for your kids. And as a dad of a young man, an 8-year-old young man, I want him to be confident in himself so that when he has children, he knows that he can impact his family in a variety of ways. There's no, quote, blue jobs and pink jobs. Is that what people say? Yeah.
That's lovely. Oh, Cam, I wish we had more time. There's so many more questions I have for you. But when we're going to wrap up here, please share your website so our dads know where they can find you.
Yes, www.dmdmastermind.com.
Oh, thank you again. I thank you for your vulnerability and sharing your story. And I thank you for tuning in to The Parenting Game.
We're all familiar with the 3 whats: what it is, what it can do for me, and what does it cost. Tyler Rickenaut, Country Financial, can help you find the answers with insurance coverage to help protect what's most important to you, all at a price you can afford. So while you're juggling work and kids while trying to keep an eye on your financial future, Tyler Rickenaut, Country Financial, will make sure they are the first ones there when you need them most.
The kids are back to school, and your schedule is busier than ever. From daycare pickup, doctor's appointments, sports, and college tuition, a parent's signature is a powerful thing. Have you ever stopped to think, what would happen if you weren't able to provide one? With thoughtful estate planning, you can make sure that your child's health and education needs are met in the event of your absence due to a temporary incapacity or even death. The estate planning team at Hurley Burish is here to help.
Thank you for watching The Parenting Game. All episodes of The Parenting Game are available on demand at sunprairiemediacenter.com.